Hi, I'm Josh McGrath,
I'm Andrew Haas.
and this is the Ardent Pursuit Podcast. As you may see, we've got a couple of guests with us today. It's been a little while since we've done an interview, and we're so excited to have Ben and Keila here with us today. Ben and Keila, welcome to the Ardent Pursuit Podcast.
Thanks, guys.
Very fun to have you on the show today.
It's good to be here.
So give us a little bit about where life is at for you right now. You're married, you've got a family. Tell us a little bit about life these days.
Well, we've been married for
22 years.
boom.
Come on. Love it.
We have 7 kids. We have a son-in-law as well. My oldest daughter is married, and they're expecting. So we're going to be grandparents this year.
We got grandparents on the show.
First time we've ever had grandparents on the show.
There you go,
Exciting.
guys.
You're welcome.
Gonna bring your grandma and grandpa wisdom. I love
There,
it.
yeah.
Well, at least we'll find some today. That's the plan. So, anyhow, yeah.
Now, you guys aren't originally from the North Country, and I know we'll hear about this in your story, but when did you guys first move up here?
So we moved up here in March of 2011. We moved to the North Country. We're originally from the Capital District area of New York, and so grew up there, born and raised. Myself, Keila is
I was born and raised in Guatemala.
Awesome.
and so those are. It's kind of how. So about 2011, we moved our whole family. At that time, there were four kids.
Oh, so like a starter family.
His starter family. That's
Starter
right.
package.
Starter pack.
There was somebody, they were looking for a place for us to crash while we come in trying to transition. And somebody my pastor had said at the time, he's like, hey, we're just looking for small families coming up here. Anybody have room for a family of
For a
6?
small family
Sorry,
with 4 kids.
That was really funny to us. That was really funny. So, anyhow.
Yeah.
I love it. So let's go all the way back. You've been married for 22 years. That's amazing. Clearly, there was a pursuit that ended in success, not just marriage, but longevity of marriage.
Yes.
That's something we talk about here on the podcast all the time, is trying to set men up for success.
Yeah.
It's not guaranteed,
Yeah.
but we define success as getting married and having a healthy marriage.
Yeah.
So let's go back before you guys were even in a relationship. What was life like before you guys even met each other? Were you guys already in relationships? Were you not
question.
in relationships? Take us back to that moment.
Yeah.
You want to start?
Sure. Well, as I said, I grew up
Okay.
in
No, go,
Guatemala.
just kidding. Go ahead.
So what is that? Yeah, so we don't really care. But thank you for sharing. That was
welcome.
compelling.
Deep.
So Ben, tell us a bit more.
Sorry, honey. Go ahead.
No, I love
Had to happen.
Got it out of your system.
No. But
Plenty more.
I was born and raised in Guatemala, and I never wanted to leave my country. I loved my country. I was single at 28. We got married when I turned 29. But so through all that season, I was a believer. I was involved in church, trying to figure out what life is supposed to look like to find a husband in the Christian environment.
Were you actively looking for, hoping someone would cross your path?
For a little while, yes. At some point, I transitioned from actively looking to actively waiting
Okay.
because I realized I didn't want to manufacture anything. And everything that the culture at the time was dictating to me is dress the right way, look the right way, do this, do that, position yourself this way to make it happen.
Yep.
So at some point through my journey, after a few heartbreaks, I figured out, okay, Lord, if I really want to trust you for a future, I really have to trust you to make it happen. And so I stopped actively seeking, and I decided to wait.
And were you in Guatemala during this whole time?
Yes.
Really?
Yep.
Now, this idea of like actively waiting, I would imagine is very challenging. But it's not a passive thing.
No, it's not a passive thing.
So what did it look like, kind of heart posture, and also lifestyle, to be actively waiting?
Well, my world overlapped in a lot of ways because I was working freelance as an interpreter, and I would travel to different places, and I would find myself in situations where, it's always a conference for a business that I'm interpreting for, and it's always, so what's your story? Do you have a boyfriend? No. How is it possible that a young girl, such a catch, you know?
You started telling people you did have a boyfriend.
I did. I don't
Just
know
to keep
that would
away.
be something that you want to.
No way, that's awesome.
I wouldn't advertise it, but I thought, okay,
It's
Lord.
just easier to say it.
Well, I just said, I told the Lord, and again, I wouldn't necessarily recommend this. That was my journey at the
Yes.
time.
This is not the advice you would offer our
Yes,
listeners.
yes. But I thought, I'm tired of having people be like, oh my goodness, how are you single? Blah, blah, blah. And it's usually somebody who wants to make a pass on you.
Sure.
Like a married general manager who's without his wife in this, you know,
Right.
beautiful hotel,
Yep.
attending a conference. They're serving us dinner, all the finery,
Yep.
and they just want to see what they can score.
Got it.
And so I didn't want to lie. I didn't want to misrepresent myself, but I actually really did feel like I'm not looking. I'm not single and looking. I'm actually committed to the Lord that this is the best time of my life. And this moment is a gift. And if God wants me single right now, then I'm going to love it. And if God wants me to marry, he will bring somebody at the right time and I will get married. So I don't want to misrepresent myself. So I started thinking, no, I'm actually in a committed relationship with the Lord.
Yeah.
But she wouldn't
You
say
just
the
left out
Lord.
his name.
I was-
No, she actually had a
Then if you said that, then it was like,
Right.
what, are you a nun?
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
no.
This, yes.
So I started devising one time in a pickle. I said, no, I do have a boyfriend. I am in a committed relationship. I do have somebody in my life. And they were like, oh, really? You do? Yes. What's his name? Emmanuel. His name is Emmanuel. What does he do? He works with people. That's all you need to know. Well, is he really serious? Very much so.
That's awesome.
Very much so.
Emmanuel de la Roca.
De la Roca is an actual last name
no way.
in Latin America.
So it's
De la Roca. So
Emmanuel the Rock.
if I needed to produce a last name, I came up with thinking on my feet, De la Roca.
fantastic.
So I wouldn't necessarily say, because I don't know if it would cross the line as a deception. It wasn't for me. It was a conviction.
Yeah.
I arrived to a place of being committed to the Lord for whatever he would have for my life. And so that became my thing.
And it's interesting because you speak two languages, you were traveling, so your prospects and opportunities were arguably more abundant than somebody who only speaks one language and is staying in their hometown.
Yeah. Yeah, you could think that way.
Yet, even with those opportunities, you just didn't find someone that you felt like embodied your belief system, your worldview, that you connected with relationally or compatibility wise. Like, what was the thing that you found yourself still single?
Mostly, I think I just didn't find a guy who was willing to do the hard work. I met guys, some of them were great guys who probably were just unshepherded.
Sure.
I'm personally being affirmed by everything she says right now.
This is a good one. This is a good woman, man.
Like everything she's saying, I'm like, all right, she's talking about me right now. Like on the opposite.
Pretty sure there's going to be a date later.
But so I would meet guys, but it was never clear. It was hard to know. So are we a thing? Are we not a thing? Am I supposed
Ambiguity.
to call you?
Yeah.
Are you? There wasn't texting.
Sure.
But so I would go out for coffee. We didn't call them dates. It looked different from what even the dating scene would have been here in the States at the time, I think. But I would go out for coffee with friends, but it never got past that. And if anybody was interested, as in anybody who wasn't necessarily a believer, but was a great candidate because had a very stable career, had a very stable position, and, had a good living. But there was the element of not loving the Lord. I had somebody of influence in my life tell me once, I don't understand why you're not going out with this guy. He has a good job. He's an attorney. He has a good car. And I said, yeah, but every time I'm out for coffee with him, his eyes are always wandering. And he doesn't love God. He can lose that job. He can lose that car. And what am I left with?
Yeah.
Just a
Right.
guy who has wandering eyes.
Yep.
He has never told me that he's interested in me. He has never told me, and everybody would tell me, well, you just have to play the game. You just have to know how to play the game. But I didn't. I tried to, and I was heartbroken, and I
It didn't work for you.
No, I didn't like it. So I just decided that there were different things, different factors, probably too many to get into, but I resolved that it was my understanding that my parents, as flawed as they could have been, were really the gatekeepers to my life. That before God, they were the authority appointed by God. And most of my life had been not trusting what my parents said, especially when it came to guys. My dad would say, "Look at that guy." I'm like, "Thank you, not the one you want, Dad." So traditionally, I would have kind of steered away. And whenever I was interested in someone, and my first real act of rebellion, you could say, just because personality-wise, I was a very calm girl, was when my mom decided that this one guy wasn't good for me, and I thought, well, I'm an adult. What if I think he's good? What if I want to explore that and learn from my own mistakes? And learn I did. If I had listened to my mom and gotten out of my way with my own pride, I probably would have spared myself a lot of heartache, because usually where I wanted to go, my mom would be like, I don't know about that. And I'd be like, oh, Mom, just let me live my life.
Yeah.
Let me learn from my own mistakes.
Yeah.
So I learned from enough of them
Yeah.
that I told the Lord, okay, I have a father on earth that is flawed. And I have parents that I haven't really trusted. But above all things, I have a Father in heaven who loves me and who has my best interest at heart. I can trust him for my future. And I'm going to trust him to lead my parents well. I don't want to make another mistake.
Wow.
And I didn't even tell this to my parents, but I committed in my heart, and I said, Lord, if there's anybody else, I'm not going to be the one saying, do you want to meet my parents? Do you want to come in and meet my mom? Instead of just, my parents were very, Latin America, nobody can just show up at your driveway, honk the horn, and you come out. No, he needs to come in and meet everybody.
Yeah.
Right.
My grandmother was a very important thermostat in that my grandmother any guy would come to my house, and my grandmother, she was a very stern woman. She was a widow that raised 4 kids on her own. So she was very hardened and very hard. And guys would come into the house, and she lived with us for a while. And she would meet them, and she would be like, yeah, hi. And I'd be like, Mamita, can't you just say hi? I don't know what you're doing with that guy. Just wasting your time.
Wait till I tell you when I met her.
Yeah. And I'd be like, but I'm not marrying him. He's just a friend. I don't care.
Wow.
It's wasting your time. That's not the guy for you. And I'd be like, and some guys tolerated the momentary affliction of meeting my grandmother and my family. I had people tell me, this is what you need to do. You need to go out with the guy a few times, and then after he's already interested in you, then introduce him to your family, because then he won't, you'll have trapped him.
Yeah, you won't have scared him off.
And I'd be like, but that doesn't make any sense. Yeah. I am who I am with my family. Sure. And if he doesn't like my family, why would I want him around me? And why would I want to be with him? I made a commitment that I was going to trust God through my parents.
That sounds like a really important corner you turned, going from they're flawed to I'm going to trust them. Was that just on the heels of some bad decisions, or what do you think got you to the place where you could make that take that new path?
I had a major heartbreak that really sent me into a depression. It was awful, and it was even as bad as I would be driving, stopping at a red light, wanting to forget everything about this person, turning around, and there he was.
No way.
Oof.
On the traffic light next to me. Or somebody from his family, or, something like that. So I really thought, I said, okay, Lord, if I'm going to get over this person, I need it to be intense. I need to be radical. So I changed my circle of the places that I couldn't help work and all that kind of stuff. I just did what I did. But I really prayed. And I actually went through a week of fasting and prayer with a woman who was a mentor to me. She committed to doing that with me. We prayed that I would be able to be free from that situation and have the peace to just move on.
Wow.
And through that, I started working with other ministries and just giving myself completely to whatever God had for me. If it was church related, if it was ministry related, if it was service related, I was in. To the point of even scheduling my work around ministry stuff.
Because she would use her interpreting vocation at ministry. So it was just kind of like, let me use this unto the Lord and serve the Lord in that way.
Yeah. So I even said, I even told the Lord, my first commitments will be to you, including my work. I had a very good work opportunity. I had a lady that she was very demanding, very excellent. She had great contracts with great companies. And she would call me and say, I need you interpreting in this place. And she would pay for my ticket. I would go to wherever we were going. And then there was this one time when the job she was asking me to join her for conflicted with ministry that I had committed to. Ministry wasn't paying me, but I had committed to the Lord. I had committed to God. So I said to her, oh, I'm so sorry. I can't do those dates. And she was like, do you realize what you're saying no to? I said, yeah. Well, if you're going to be saying no to me, and I said, listen, this is my major client. This is who provides for my biggest influx of income.
Yeah.
And I am treating them the way you would want me to treat you. If I made a commitment with you, you would want me to honor it. So I'm honoring my commitment here. And if you're not going to call me again because of that, that's a bummer, because I've enjoyed working with you, but I can't do it this time.
Wow.
And that's why I pursued her. Just finished. She's amazing.
And
she loves Jesus.
Called me again.
That kind of matters to me.
She called me again, and I had the opportunity to work with her again.
Okay.
But it was a personal thing. I came from a very large church. I didn't have somebody directly pouring into me, shepherding me. So it really was, God was very gracious, and God will meet you where you are.
Yep.
And so I just sent my prayer to the Lord saying, okay, I can't live like this. This is not healthy for me. And these are going to be my commitments to you and to you alone.
It's awesome.
And
it's amazing.
And that led me to an interpreting job. Well, not really an interpreting job, but my church invited my now brother-in-law to serve at our church, and I was the interpreter for them.
It's kind of how the initial connection started.
That's how the initial
I mean,
connection
like at least amongst for you people from the North Country, and kind of got our worlds collided. They were about to collide.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow. Okay, so we'll pick back up on getting you to America here in a moment. But let's hear from you, Ben. What was life like before you met Keila, before she was even on your radar?
So, I definitely was, I would say I was interested a lot in different girls through the years. I'd gone to, growing up high school and then going to Bible college. I went to a Bible college where it was, the joke of ring by spring or your money back. It's like a shoe factory. You come to get your soles fixed and you leave in pairs. I completely failed that.
Did you get your money back?
No, I didn't get my money back. And and without getting into details, I probably, did things along the way that I wish I would have done differently. Even in my heart pursuit, I definitely was, there was a young guy in my youth one time that I was in ministry, and there was a young lady he was interested in. And I said, "Hey man," I said, "I see you in that young lady. You interested in her? You like her?" And he goes, "I like them all." And I said, "Well, that's a problem." And
All right, I'll see you next Monday.
But definitely, sometimes you get caught in that world where you become so singular focused, and you get, and everybody you meet ends up kind of getting filtered through some type of weird filter or stuff. Anyhow,
Were you just giving them too much attention, or it was taking up too much of your like headspace?
Headspace, I would say headspace. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I would say I just was friendly with a lot of people, but didn't date anybody. I dated in high school. Really had a girl that we had dated. And it was, it was kind of a secret. Nobody really knew about it. It was one of those things. And then it became.
Was she real? This wasn't looking invisible.
People are still wondering.
Wasn't an
No one knew
imaginary
about
friend.
it. Did you know about it? I just need to know our listeners.
Well, I say it was a secret. What I mean by a secret is I didn't tell my mom and dad.
Okay,
my mom didn't know. I think everybody knew.
Context matters.
Everybody knew.
Everyone knew.
Yeah,
They
just my mom didn't know. And so, when and the Lord had to lead me through, like, just even laying that down and even just trying to walk through at that time. It was just a sense of, if you like somebody, you tell them, and you kind of just, like, I like you. And then it just led to some, down pathways that you wish you don't walk down. So so I was in college, and, I definitely would have girls I was interested in or pursuing, and I liked them, for lack of better words, like, I like this girl. But I kind of just didn't bring anybody in my life. I mean, there were nobody, there were people, there were people I could have leaned into.
Okay.
I tended to lean into my peers, and they're like, go for it. And so without real, of course they
As
were.
all good bros do.
Exactly. It's much what I said to them as well. And some of them are, I mean, they're doing fantastic in their marriages even today.
Yep.
So, but definitely just, I missed opportunities to lean into some leaders in my life, or older brothers in my life, that would have been more instrumental, that down the road, I just learned as I grew in my 20s. Now I entered ministry right away. I graduated on a Saturday. My first day of ministry was the Sunday. I began a full-time ministry, and I was 21 years old as an assistant pastor at a small church, and great people. My home church. Won't even, the details of that are not that important. But the next years of my life were, I would say, very lonely. I would say I knew everybody there. There was a few people there. I was interested, interested in possibility, but you're kind of walking through. I mean, there were definitely long seasons of loneliness. Just to explain how lonely I was, I got a bowling ball with my name on it.
That's the most lonely I've ever heard.
That pretty much sums it up.
And bowled by myself.
No, you bowled by yourself.
Okay.
I want to be a fly on that wall.
There was a guy named Dale there, and he was just watching me every week, like, what is up with this guy?
That's amazing.
It's really funny, actually. But it was just, that is the absolute truth. The bowling ball's right here. No, I can't. So, I just dealt with loneliness. It was hard not to also operate, I think, out of that loneliness. Because when you get lonely, and I was serving the Lord. I was pumped for Jesus. I was definitely like all in on that stuff. But definitely felt like, man, I would say just, even then, there were some areas of my life that were unshepherded. My pastor I'm very close with, but even him, I didn't lean into this area well until actually I met her. It was kind of transitioned, like, things had kind of shifted in my own heart, where I brought some people in my life to really help me navigate the waters in that previous year, in the year that when I met her. I had the year I met her, actually the beginning of that year, I was courting a girl. So I just began courting, and we were praying very, very diligently. A nice young lady. We were praying diligently that God would give us an answer in that season. And I'd say he probably gave us an answer in that January time, I won't go into all the details of that whole story, because I feel like that's not really important for us here. But I was pretty sure it was like the signs were saying this isn't the right fit. There's different reasons. I fought that before God. I just was I wanted a relationship somewhere. I think it's more selfish. It was very selfish, where I was more interested in how it would serve me than even serving her and her call. And I was just holding on to it, pulling it, trying to just keep it close. And
Yeah.
it was, you know, and by the grace of God, I think for her sake and mine, you know, we parted ways. But
Well, for a lot of guys, I think that's a powerful driver, alleviating loneliness.
yeah.
For a lot of guys, that does motivate us. So
It does.
It's not a bad thing to desire that and to, you know.
Desire companionship.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
of course.
The lack of loneliness. That's all.
Absolutely. I just needed to make sure that my loneliness wasn't the God in my life.
Yeah.
And that's where the Lord had to supply, because listen, if on a Friday at the bowling alley, and
Alone.
by the way,
With Ben's ball.
and my shoes. By the way, we've never been bowling. You know what I'm saying?
And that's like what you invested so much time into.
I wasn't going there to meet anybody. I was just, but the reality was, which is true. It was just, this is the bowling story. But the idea that I still needed to find Jesus that day, and I couldn't serve that loneliness and be a victim of it. It's like, oh well, Ben, get over it and fight forward, press forward.
Yeah.
You know, work on your bowling skills. Yeah, that's going to be impressive.
That's going to win a woman over.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, I had a sweet. And you might believe this. I actually injured myself bowling.
No way.
Yeah, it's a true story. Yeah. Anyways, moving on.
Yeah, well, and as Tim Keller says, you're more lonely in a bad marriage than you are in no marriage.
Yes.
So it really matters. You can
interesting.
be lonely,
Yeah.
enter a bad marriage, and you're actually going to end up more lonely.
Yeah,
So-
marriage is not the antidote, or you know what I'm saying, or a relationship.
Yeah.
You know, it's not the antidote to that. Your soul. I heard somebody say to me at Bible college, you know, you're a complete person apart from any romantic relationship you ever have. And I think that's so important, because it's not 50-50. You know what I'm saying? It's 100-100.
Yeah, come on.
And that's how it is. And I'm into this to serve the Lord. I'm running hard for Jesus. Got my, and then our pathways kind of aligned. You know what I mean?
I think it's so interesting that you mentioned that you didn't want to give up that relationship, because for a lot of men, they enter into relationships maybe with good motives, maybe with suspect motives, but they get to a place where maybe either through outside counsel or the Lord himself, they're saying, hey, this needs to end.
Yeah.
And men don't oftentimes want to give that up.
Right.
Because it's a known thing.
Yeah.
The unknown is really scary.
Yeah.
We talk about, Andrew brings this up, harps on this all the time. This is his thing. Men want certainty. But they can't have certainty. They can have clarity, but they can't have certainty. And so it's just really interesting that you found yourself in that place, because I think that's universal for, I'll speak for at least the male perspective, at least for men.
Yeah. Yeah, I can say that for sure. Even as I move forward, there was a time, a real pivotal time in her and I, when we were pursuing our relationship, where it was like that moment of like, okay, if we move past this, we're going to move to a greater sense of togetherness. And it was like I was being challenged about the certainty thing. Like I was willing to say, we talked about it. It's like, hey, if this is the time off the train, like meaning the train's moving, we're headed this direction, but if we want off, this would be a good moment to get off the train. And I felt like in a better way, my heart was in a much better, healthy way at that moment, because I really had a picture of who she was, right? And I feel like maybe the selfishness was dealt with through some of that in that moment, in that season. Wow. And, where, as opposed to how does this relationship serve me? It's like, oh no, if I'm actually serving her as a young man, it's no, I'm willing to say I'm not married to her. I haven't covenanted with her. We were still we were not even engaged. And it's like, this might be a good time to, because I saw the cost. There was a cost involved with her marrying me. I mean, let me tell you.
I mean, she was going to inherit a bowling ball with your name on it. That is a cost that not many women want to bear. I just love that that's like an integral part of this story right now. I've never heard this be part of someone's story, but it's just so good.
I think I've seen that
Jim
ball
Gaffigan sketch on a bowling ball. I got to work on
this a little bit. This is good. This is going to be a good bit, but I'm not there yet. Go on, Andrew.
Oh man, I was just going to ask. Keila wasn't even a part of the picture when you had decided to call things off.
100%. No.
So you were willing to go there, meaning completely back out of a relationship, really not knowing what was next.
Yeah, the Lord made it really clear to me, for our sake, that it was, we needed to end it. Yeah. And I went into the unknown, the uncertainty, as you say. And it was very uncertain. And I would say, a lot of tears, because what happens is I can't speak for everybody else. I'm only telling you about Ben. But I'm like, this is a cup of coffee, it's going to be amazing. And I make dreams and hopes and expectations. I'm
You're living years down the road.
I'm years down the road in my mind. And then to come back and say, I had no business going years down the road. That was wrong of me because I got the cart before the horse, and so to speak. And so, I would say I walked through a painful journey there of my own soul and just walking that through. And I remember, and I'll let her she can share about it in a moment. But at some point that summer, I was having breakfast with my family, and it was the first time, or it was like September of that year, where she was already here, but I didn't.
Because I came in September.
But she could share about that in a second. But I just remember that was the first time I heard her mentioned, like it was my brother. He's like, Ben, you need to meet this girl that's here, and I was like, I don't want to talk about anything. I don't want to, go there at all. And for the record, the place where that diner was literally about 100 yards away from my bowling alley.
It was prophetic.
I just thought of
Tears
that.
you wept while bowling. Yes. Planting the seeds of love 100 yards away.
Right there. You have no idea. I looked up that bowling alley the other day. This is true. They closed it. I did. They closed it down. It's not there anymore. Most bowling alleys.
So many future love stories could have been written there.
There was nobody there. Anyways.
Wow.
So we left off with you in Guatemala. You had just met Ben's brother. He had come down to do some ministry at the church.
Yes.
Take us to how you ended up in the U.S.
So I think this is where people that are influential in your life and leadership matters, and what they have to say matters. My church had gone through a transition, and there was a new pastor, recently appointed pastor for a couple of years already. But in a church as large as ours, I never really met our first pastor because I was too young. Lots of family and ministry, lots of connections, and a lot of thinking, they've got her covered. They've got her covered. But nobody was really shepherding me. And so my grandma, I was about to leave our church, and I started kind of church shopping with other family members who were pastoring other churches, but I was just like showing up at different churches. My grandmother said, you should give the new pastor a chance. Just go back to church and get a feel for things. So I did. And it was a great service, and I really did feel a shift in the air. So I wrote him a note, and I don't know if it was an email, I just wrote a letter, but I just said, hey, I just wanted to thank you for taking on the church. I was on my way out. And now I didn't tell him who I was related to. I didn't tell him who I was.
By the way, too, for context, the church is massive. Thousands of people. Thousands of people. Go ahead.
And a part of a network with much more, many more churches with thousands of people as well.
Yep.
So he actually called, I can't remember the details, but somehow I got invited to meet him before or after a service. So I did go. I met him, and he said, well, tell me about you and your family. And that's where he realized, I thought he was asking me because he knew whom my connections were. He knew all the people. I figured, this is why he's asking me. Sure. But he wasn't. He had just gone from my letter and saying, tell me your story. What are you thinking? So it was the first time that I felt like somebody was actually shepherding me, not the extended family because you're, the niece of so-and-so or related to so-and-so. So I started having more of a pastoral relationship with my pastor. If I had an issue at work, he would always make room for me. I could always show up in his office. Wow. There was always an open door. And he would say to me, have you ever thought of going to the States? And I'd be like, are you trying to get rid of me? I don't want to go to the States. I'm happy here. I'm good. So he called me and he said, I have some people coming. I want you to interpret for them. They're going to be ministering with the youth. And I always try to get away from preaching, from interpreting while preaching for men, just because it's a different vibe. And so I would try to have you tried so-and-so? No. I want you. I want you to do this. So I ended up being the escort interpreter and event interpreter for this guy who came. I don't know that my pastor knew who he was. And now in hindsight, I think this is the line of thinking he had. He never told me. But I met my brother-in-law and his assistant director from his ministry, and they came and they served, and I interpreted for them the whole time. We, the youth pastor and I would drive them around and everything. And they came a second time to another event. And during that second time, I just had a sense that I was going to travel. And I went to my pastor and I said, I think when all of this is over, I need to talk to you. And he said, no, right now, over here. Come here. What's going on? I said, well, I think God may want me to travel. And he said, do you want to go with them? I'm like, what are you talking about, go with them? At that point, my brother-in-law returned with a team of people. And he said, well, they have some kind of internship school or something. And again, every so often, he would put me in every kind of situation where there would be young people that I could interpret for. And he would say, are you interested in going? If you ever want to go study in the States, if you ever want to go spend time in the States, tell me. I will help you. Wow. I'll look into it and I'll help you. I'd be like, don't try to get rid of me. So when I said that, he said, do you want to go with them? And I said, what do you mean with them? I think there is travel in my future, but I don't. And he said, well, look into the program they have. They have some kind of internship program. Look into that. So I started looking into this little internship program in a small church in upstate New York. A few weeks after that, I was scheduled to be in Florida for an event. And I asked my boss, I said, do you mind if I don't use my return ticket right away and I go from there to visit this place in New York? And she was like, no, as long as I don't have to pay for anything else but your, Miami, Guatemala. And so I got in touch with the couple that had come with my brother-in-law, and I said, can I come up for a visit? And they were like, yeah, you just come. And I sat at the airport and I thought, okay, I don't have another job lined up. I have to pay bills from this job. And why am I spending money to go see people that I'm not even related to? This doesn't make any sense. But I was sitting at the airport, and again, I don't say this prescriptively. I would never say, well, this is how you need to do it. But it was how I needed to be met by God.
Yeah.
And so I came to visit, and I sat with the pastor, gave me a time to sit with him. And he said, well, basically this program is for young men between the ages of 18 and 25. You are not a young man, and you are not in the age range. But if God is bringing you here, we can look into it and we can see what we can do with that. Wow. And so I went home, and I said, well, all of it, pastors got involved and, connected. My pastor was like, yeah, you go. It meant taking a year off of work. But again, I had at the beginning of that year, now this is maybe April, May. And at the beginning of that year, after, the previous year of spiraling down, that I made a commitment to the Lord, I said, Lord, I'm going to do whatever you put in front of me. And I will trust you to meet everything else and to provide for everything else. And it was always like that. I would fill children's event, intercession ministry, church event, and 3 days of work. And I would have the 3 days of work or the 5 days of work that will cover all my expenses for the month.
Wow.
So I filled out all the paperwork, talked to my pastor. My pastor was like, yeah, you go. I'm going to be studying. I don't care. You just go. Don't worry about it. Now, there was a big step of faith in that because I was 28, and part of the commitment, we did talk, and they said, we cannot make a lot of adjustments because we want to run an efficient program. And so we will ask you to make all of the commitments that we ask any other intern. And one of the commitments was to not be involved in a romantic relationship and not get involved in a romantic relationship during the time of the internship.
Okay.
And I thought, I'm not getting any younger, God. You know, the biological clock is ticking.
Yeah.
But I felt, I went back to, this is the day that God has provided, and I am single right now, and I have no promises of anything. So I will trust God, and if he wants me to get married, he will bring the right person at the right time. And so I took the commitment. I signed the dotted line, and I took the commitment, and I went and I lived with a wonderful family, and it was a season of changing mindsets.
Yep.
I read all the books of, how to ask God for the husband you want, filled out all the questionnaires. I had my list. I had everything.
This is before all this.
Before coming. So I had all these things. My grandmother even gave me a book that something along the lines of how to wait for God's promises to come true before I'm old and wrinkled, something like that. And
very encouraging book.
And I was doing all the things, but I was 28. Most of my friends were married. I was not bowling.
That was the
Maybe that was the thing.
That is the key.
That was the thing.
The takeaway here.
That is the takeaway from today.
So my dad was concerned actually that I was going to be a spinster. That was a big deal to my dad.
Sure.
Bless his heart. It was a big step to say, okay, I'm about to turn 30 and I'm going to sign out 1 year of my life where if I even meet someone, nothing can happen.
Wow.
But I did it. And through the discipleship and the shepherding and the relationships that I formed in that season, I started realizing maybe all these things that I'm writing in a list don't really matter. Maybe I'll cross this one off, and maybe and
Thank
again,
God.
people,
Handsome. Yeah, cross that one out.
Sharpie. 6'5".
Cross it off.
well,
Maybe we'll
what's
add bowling.
Everything you've got
Circle the bowling one.
That's actually an option now. Let's move that up to the top of the list.
Is he a bowler though?
I'm not a bowler.
Does he own his own ball? That shows care and responsibility. Shows he can provide.
There we go.
Oh, man.
So interestingly enough, one of the things that I always said is I will never marry somebody younger than me. He has to be at least 2 years older than me. And true to that, if anybody, I actually had my best friend wanted me to meet somebody who was 2 years younger than me. And I refused.
Wow.
That's wasting my time. Why would I waste my time meeting somebody that doesn't meet the criteria?
Yep.
But this is interesting. I met with some of the ministries that I worked with. I met with the directors. I told them, hey, I'm going to be going away for a year. Not really know what comes after that, but this is what I'm doing. And they said to me, that's all great. This is all we're going to say to you. Go with an open mind. And I was like, what do you mean? Just go with an open mind, whatever that means for you. And this is why. We have a young girl that we're counseling, and she's single, and she can't wait to get married. And there's this amazing young man that is perfect for her and adores her. And she can get past the fact that he's 2 years younger than her.
Oh,
and we are encouraging her to explore it, but she just can't get past that. So they were like, just go with an open mind. And I said, okay. But I signed the dotted line.
Saying, I won't be in a relationship.
I won't be in a relationship. I won't meet anybody.
Yep.
And I have been there, and everybody is at least 10 years younger than me, let alone not even getting ready to marry. So, yeah.
Yeah, so she came in September. I had heard about her from that when I was at the diner, but I didn't do anything with it. My brother was just like, you just got to meet her. She's a great girl. He was really positive about.
Do you think he was trying to set you up?
I think he was interested in that possibility.
Okay.
I don't think he was. I mean, he didn't know.
Sure.
But I think he was like, oh yeah, I mean, he cared for me. He wanted, he knew
you wanted to be married.
Yeah, he knew that was something in my heart, but definitely was like, we weren't pressing it or pushing on it at all. And so it was it November? November. So November, I heard Derek was coming down to to the Capital District to do a concert. And I always loved going worship stuff. It was just fun to be there, great events. And my friends lived nearby where he was going to be. And at the same time, so I was planning on going that day, and I got a call from my brother on the way down that day. And he goes, "Oh, by the way, Kayla's going to be there tonight." And it was like, I don't know, somehow like when I heard about that, then, you know, kind of went back to maybe some of that diner discussion and some stuff that was in my head. And I thought, well, I got to make a good impression. You know, I want to, okay, I don't even know who, but I trust my brother. You know what I'm saying? I got to do well here.
I should do some push-ups.
Yeah, well, I did push-ups.
Good.
I put on a black turtleneck sweater, which everybody wore at that time.
Yes.
I was like all like decked out, and went to my friend's house nearby where the event was going to be, and just kind of waited around there, knowing I was going to see my brother. Of course, I hadn't seen him in a while. It's fun to just connect and hang out, and I knew I would meet this mystery girl that I'd heard about, not a lot about, frankly, but I'd heard about her. But I was like, I'm interested in, you know, in walking this forward, at least meeting her. Yeah. And so, so I'll just give you, so I went to there. I remember went to this church room. I sat in the back of the room. I was just sitting there in the back. And I remember the first moment I saw her. I mean, the door opened in the front of the sanctuary, and out walks Keila across the front of the room. And I thought, oh my goodness, what was I thinking? I'm totally out of her league. You know what I'm saying? That woman's a queen. That's why
You're out of my league.
I thought, you're out of my league? No, you're out of.
I was out of your league.
Whatever that means, whatever the right idiom is there.
It was a metaphor.
Yeah, somebody said to me one time. Somebody's like, they said.
It's like, we'll burn that bridge when we come to it.
Well, people say, Ben, you really married up, and she hates that because she's like, what does that say about me? I married down. I'm like. Yeah.
That's on you.
Hey, I won here. Anyhow, I remember her walking across, and I just remember being so, and at that moment too, kind of revisiting my selfishness and my, and I remember thinking, what am I doing? This girl's like a beautiful girl. I mean, I could tell right away. She walked and she carries herself with such royalty. I was, you know, just a,
mesmerized.
Yeah, honest to God, I really was. It was just like a wow. And I said, I'm completely. What am I thinking? I'm such a dork. You know what I'm saying?
All this stuff. This turtleneck.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Bring a bowling ball.
Let me show her my bowling ball.
Rolling down the aisle of the church. Bowling ball.
Stop. You bowl.
So yeah, of course, you know. So
want some chops?
So listen. So when I went up, so we had some people there that we both knew, obviously. So here comes Keila walking across, and here's my moment. I'm gonna get introduced to her, and I'm already kind of like thinking, like, what am I thinking? I mean, that's kind of going through my head. But I, you know, so here,
Heart's racing a little bit.
Yeah, of course, a little bit. I'm gonna meet you, and you're walking towards us, and I remember I was like, I don't remember. They introduced us, Ben. This is Keila. This is Ben. I was like, what's up? That's what I did or something. I literally did that.
No.
I did that.
No.
I did that.
No.
I did that.
Oh no.
And I thought to myself, I handled that pretty well.
I'm pretty smooth.
Maybe I'm not out of my league anymore.
I'm
you know what I'm
a
saying?
chick magnet.
Yeah, I kind of.
Sit down, Ryan Gosling.
Well, let's just say it was clearly didn't work. I don't know. Her thoughts at that moment were.
My thoughts were, he's definitely not like his family. He's the most arrogant guy I've ever met.
That she thought that. I was like,
no.
But I thought, you know what? It serves me right because when we were driving, when we were driving down to the meeting, I remember sitting in the car folding newsletters that I was sending, and my now brother-in-law telling me that I was going to meet his brother, and me thinking, oh, it's, you know, they want me to meet him. They want to match us up. I really did feel what I recognize now as a sense from God that at the time I was like repenting for, because I felt like you're meeting him because you're marrying him. Wow. And then I was like, oh, come on, get off your high horse. Like, you're not the price to humanity. Like, why would you be? And I'm like, Lord, please search my heart. Forgive me for my
I'd
pride.
be rebuking that thought.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I'm like, what do I think I am?
Yeah.
Why do I think that everybody thinks that I'm, you know, the next best thing, and I should be marrying their sibling? So when I met him, I thought, you know what? It serves me right for being so presumptuous.
He's a
for
loser.
Thinking,
He's an arrogant loser.
He's so arrogant.
Yeah, I'm definitely not. This is not the guy.
Okay, I've met most of his family, and they're all so nice and friendly.
What happened?
Yes.
And he's
Why,
so
Lord?
like-
Why? Look upon my plight.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, you have to understand, I was far away from everything I knew. I was far away from
Right.
my parents, whom I had committed to the Lord were going to be the gatekeepers
Yep.
to my heart.
Right.
I was away from my pastor, whose intentions at the time I didn't know. I just trusted his judgment, and he was all for me coming. So I had people that were mentoring me and were great, and I did trust them. But I'm also in a completely foreign country, completely foreign culture. And I really needed God to meet me in a very personal way, and he did. So I would not go around telling people, well, you need to ask God and have him tell you, because a lot of thoughts that come to us are not
for
always God
Sure.
thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, in hindsight, I can say that was God, and I see why.
Yep.
But at the moment, I couldn't even say for sure this is what it is.
Yeah,
It
makes
was
sense.
it was blurry and confusing at times.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I got rid of that list, and I said to God, "Well, this is really scary
Oh, this, yeah.
because it means that it could be the next guy that walks through the door.
Yeah.
Like I have no." But
Right.
all this time, I was fashioning this idea of the guy. What is he supposed to think, believe, act like? And it's such a dumb way to think because we are constantly changing.
Sure.
And he's not the same man I'm married.
Right.
I'm not the same
Yeah.
woman he married. We've both grown and
Yeah.
changed, and we've changed together.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea that this picture is going to fit the guy and this is who I'm going to be with forever was really so silly.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know at the time, and I didn't have anybody necessarily giving me that wisdom.
Yep.
I had people that I respected that would have scoffed at my idea, but they never actually sat down with me and said, "This is why." And so fast forward to that moment that we met, and I thought, you know what, Lord, it serves me right. Like, put me in my place. I just,
Didn't and just to interrupt you, sorry, didn't the Lord in the midst of that kind of laying down your list, wasn't there like a sense of, Lord, I love what you love?
yes. So this was October 31st. We met November 2nd.
November 2nd.
October 31st was when I actually thought, okay, so this list basically got its garbage. And I took a walk, and it was the first time I was walking in snow, which was so idyllic and so pretty.
Yeah.
And I remember I stood there just looking at the fields covered in snow and saying, Lord, why would you bring me here to learn all of these principles when I haven't been able to meet a guy who will even want to meet my parents and talk to them to ask if he can date me? How am I going to go back down to my country and say to a guy, great, nice to meet you. These are the principles that I am now living by, and you must, like, I would be leading him. How is that going to work? And I forget the scripture reference, but there's a verse
I don't know.
that man is fashion. It's not fashion for women, but women is fashion for man. And the Lord brought that scripture to my mind, and I thought, oh, what makes me think that this whole time God has been fashioning someone for me? It's more like I'm being fashioned for someone
Wow.
to be a helpmeet to someone. And so I thought, okay, well, it's kind of scary because it could be anyone.
It could be some crazy guy who bowls
Yes.
At that same
be a
moment, I'm literally
bowler.
like, Steve Ray!
all by himself in the lonely, quiet bowling alley with his Diet Coke and a cherry in it.
Okay, move on.
Sorry,
Just
so-
continue.
So I said, okay, Lord, I get this. I get it. But how do I know?
Yeah.
Right.
So I said, Lord, I want to love what you love, and I want to abhor what you abhor. I want to be attracted by what attracts you. And not really knowing what does that even mean. It
Sure.
sounds kind of crazy. But
Right.
so fast forward, we met, shook hands. I thought, what was I thinking? Like, but stay in your lane. You're not the greatest gift to humanity. Not everybody wants you to marry their son or their sibling. During worship, I was in charge of I was in charge of the product table, and I realized, oh, I didn't bring the money bag in. I need my coat. I'm going to go out to the car to get the money bag. So I started looking for the money bag, and as I was looking, I didn't see him anymore, and I thought, oh, he must have left. Wow, what a loser.
Bowling appointment?
Literally, he's got to bowl some strikes.
I didn't see him and, the people that were worshiping. So, but I also didn't see my coat. I didn't realize that somebody had like folded it and shoved it under the seat. So when I went down to look under the seat, I look over there to the side, and there's this man face down on the carpet of the church during worship. And there's that voice in my heart saying, that's what I'm attracted to. And I said, find a man that prostrates before the Lord. Note
that
it.
to the list.
Not that one, but do the list here.
Yeah.
I was sleeping anyway.
Yeah,
I was
Late at
knocked out.
bowling, previously.
Yeah, I was tired.
Gotta sleep.
I needed a break. Yeah,
So it was like that attracts my heart.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, well, okay, but it can't be him because I just met him and he's so arrogant. So
Right.
So I met her. I didn't know how it went. I had actually no idea what she thought. I thought I may have done a halfway decent job, but
As most guys do.
Yeah, exactly.
Strong opening stuff.
Yeah, what's up? What's up? So, but I definitely was like, what am I doing? I got caught in my headspace, and I really was just crying out to the Lord, Lord, I just want to serve you. What am I don't know, because I didn't want to get caught up in what Ben wants. I want to serve the Lord, and I want to run hard after Jesus. And, and so I remember just talking to Derek a little bit that night, my brother. We were just chatting about life and the process of those things. And so later that night, we went out, we got pizza, and I think we were at I didn't hang out with you at all. I was playing Miss Pac-Man.
Yep.
I was trying to, and I did magic tricks.
Game, bro.
Yeah, they didn't have bowling.
Next best thing.
I think it was I thought it was one of those pinballs.
No,
I think it was actually Miss Pac-Man, the machine. So I was hanging out. And again, I probably was trying to be funny. I'm sure I was trying to be like stuff that I think would be impressive to her, which by the way, I recognize none of that stuff's ever impressed her. Like, you think I'm funny.
yes, I do.
Yeah. So, but I don't
Make me
think
laugh.
okay, good. Because you haven't laughed at all since we've been on this.
I actually think she's angry.
Oh, I love it. Anyhow, no, but I'm trying to be, in myself and try to have fun and yada yada, and just trying to that night. But I wasn't really engaging with her at all. It was a group of people, and I was hanging out with some guys, and and everybody was there. But so after that, we drove to the hotel where my brother was staying was at, and I drove my brother, and then my mom and my sister and Kayla were in a car together, and you were going to stay you stayed with them, you roomed with them.
Yeah.
So we were all going back to the hotel together. And I remember we were in the car with my brother. My brother's like, "Hey, what did you think of Kayla?" I was like, "Oh man, she's out of my I'm out of her league, whatever the word." I probably said she's out of my league.
Yeah,
she's out of my league. And I said, and he's like, "Ben, stop. Just, you should at least say goodbye to her. You should be kind, just be don't." He was just helping me because I was like, because he wanted me to stay at the hotel, maybe play a game and everything. We'll get together, we'll hang out a little bit more. I was like, not interested. I really wasn't. I just felt like I felt too much I didn't want to get caught up in my own, 20 years down the road already. I just was like, okay, just live in the moment. I was like, I want to go home. So, but he's like, well, listen, you owe it to her to at least say, nice to meet you. That'd be the right thing to do. And say goodbye to Mom and Andrea. And I was like, yeah, okay. So I remember I was like, okay, so I was kind of getting the nerve up because I was probably a bit intimidated at this point. Like, I didn't say much to her. She didn't laugh at any of my jokes. She wasn't impressed with my Miss Pac-Man skills. like all that
I
stuff.
would be insecure at that moment.
Yeah, I was like, she didn't like nothing. And so
what else can a guy do?
Exactly. I've done everything possible. You know what I mean? So I'll never forget. We pulled the car. It sounds like, I remember hyping myself up.
No way.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I got to go say goodbye to her. I'm going to say goodbye. And I'm like 27 years old, 20, whatever I was, 26, 27 in that range. I don't know. I was like, let's go. You can do it. And so the car stops And I remember the car stopped. My sister was driving this car, and Keila was in the back left seat, and I'm driving this car. So I'm here, and my mom was in the passenger seat. So we pulled right next to each other. And my mom, my mom sees this, you know what I'm saying? But my mom gets out and she's like, like this, like I was like, get out of my way right now, Mom. Yeah, but like she was like right there, and I couldn't. And I remember like behind her, I see Keila like quickly, like across the parking lot, probably quicker than you've ever moved in your life, because she doesn't run. You know what I'm saying? She doesn't believe in that. So she's. I remember when she was coming off the plane one time when I was waiting for her, and I had like a rose, and I was like, she's gonna run to me. You know what I mean? She's just walking, taking her time. And meanwhile, LL Cool J walked by, and I was like gonna hand him my rose. It was kind of a weird, that is a true story. That is absolutely true. But anyway, so back to that day, car, doors open, my mom, get out of the way. And I said, Keila, right? I said, Keila. I said, it was so nice. No, I didn't. I just remember I just walked up. I said, hey, it was really nice to meet you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I shook your hand like this. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I shook your hand. It's really nice to meet you. I probably felt halfway cool. I was hyping myself up. I was probably like, hey, Keila, it's really nice to meet you. You know exactly. That's probably the way it came out. I mean, let's be honest. So, but that was a key moment when I shook your hand. That was a special moment for you. What yeah.
Again,
I'm asking her the question now.
Again.
Hey, you should run the podcast.
Interviewer.
We'll leave.
I'm Ben Lewandowski. Welcome to The Art in Pursuit. Anyways, go ahead.
So at that moment, there was another drop in my heart. And it was, this is a man you can trust because I trust him.
Wow.
And this is a man that you can love because I love him. And I was like, okay, this is kind of weird. So what do I do with this information? And I was just like, okay, nice to meet you. And went back to the hotel room to hear his mom and his sister sing all his praises throughout the evening. And thinking to myself, I just want to go to sleep because I don't even know what all this means. I'm just like, I must be overtired and my brain is playing tricks on me. So fast forward to...
I mean, we connected a few times over the next couple months.
I was invited to do family Christmas with
but like even before that, so we saw you when your friend came to visit.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I mean,
I had a friend visiting.
So there was like a few times where she came down to the Capital District and there was some like connections we had, which were opportunities for us to kind of, connect with each other more, hang out a little bit more.
Yeah.
I would say I was pretty squirrely in the sense of by squirrely. I just was like uncommittal. I didn't know what I wanted. I was like, I don't know. I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to like her and have my heart dashed. This is like, I was just wrestling with like, what do I like here? I was really confused. You definitely were.
And I was, when I think, and again, this is not prescriptive, but this is just part of my story. We went to church and I thought, okay, what do I do with what I feel like I sensed from God? Because I can't go to him and say, hey, by the way, God said this.
Yeah, that's actually crazy.
It is crazy.
Yeah, I actually know somebody who did that and it ended in tragedy.
Yeah.
So I was just like, Lord, okay, what does all this mean? So before going to church that day, I thought, okay, I just sat down and I was journaling and I said to the Lord, I wish there was a way you could tell me if this is you or if this is just all me in my head. Because I think this is just me. My desperate desire for getting married, having children.
Yep.
It's hard to trust yourself there. It's hard to trust your motives. I mean, you get really caught up in that.
Particularly, with romance and love and marriage.
It's a loaded situation. Yeah. So I can,
Yeah.
So you went to church today. I was leading worship.
He was leading worship, and I was like, "Oh, great! That's last thing I needed." But I was just like, "Lord, I just want to meet with you." My friend was with me at this point, and the pastor got up and.
Who, by the way, we served a ministry there. I served a ministry there for years. She came and served alongside of me in ministry there eventually for years.
Never saw him do that.
Never did this. He did this one Sunday in all the years. I mean, he had words of encouragement to people, no doubt about it. But this day, he had never met you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he got up and he said, we have, some visitors today. And then he said, you came from a long way.
Which he knew. I mean, he probably knew you were from Guatemala.
And you came in obedience to the Lord. And God wants you to know that this is not you. It is him.
No way.
Yeah.
And I remember I was like playing the guitar, and I remember I was like, I kind of got frozen a little bit. This is honest to God true.
It was so bizarre.
It was because he was like in front of me, his back was to me, I was behind him, you know, and he's talking to her. So I'm kind of like looking at her like this. And I remember at that moment, you looked at me.
I probably did. I don't remember, but I was like,
no, I didn't wink at her. I honest to God, I was like, I felt like it might have been about, because I didn't know. I felt like, what's going, I really felt God was doing something, but I don't, just because God's doing something, it doesn't mean
it's
like,
clear.
No, it was not clear. And it also could be like, she could be thinking about, you know, pursuing God. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't want to make, it's so easy to make everything about you.
Yes.
well, and it wasn't
so
like, and he didn't say, you're asking God who you're going to marry.
No, it wasn't
You're
that.
asking,
Yeah.
it was exactly what I had asked the Lord, but nobody
That's
knew
what's amazing about it.
what it was about.
Yeah.
And I had made it, I purposely didn't tell anyone, absolutely no one. Because again, I needed it to be God. I needed it to know beyond the shadow of a doubt that this was God.
Yeah.
So I talked to my pastor's wife and I said, hey, what do you know about this person? And she was like, well, you know, this is a great guy. And why? Do you have reason to think that he's interested in you? And I said, no, absolutely no reason whatsoever. Although in the back of my head, I was like, well, he should propose after we leave church today, like based on this. So I was like, no, I genuinely have no reason to think that he's interested. And she said, well, let's keep it in your heart and we'll pray about it. And so she was the only person who knew. Then I was invited to spend family Christmas.
My father, who just had met her, he's like, hey, what's that girl doing? He's not like a matchmaker. My dad wasn't like that at all. But he found out that she was from Guatemala and she wasn't doing anything during the holidays. So he was like,
I thought I was away from home.
He was away from home. He was like, she should come stay with us. Which honestly, for my father, that is the most unique decision. He likes family and like, you know, and those type of things for Christmas. So he opened the door for you to come during the holidays. And I remember, so this is about when I would say we had two different things happening at the same time, which was kind of interesting. But this was where she had met with her mentor, you know, the pastor's wife. And I think one of the things when you were coming down, she said, just answer his questions.
When I got the invitation, I went to her and I said, what do you think? And she said, well, you should go. This is a great opportunity for you to look, see the church.
And she's friends with my sister. So
it
wasn't like, it was.
Get acquainted and just observe and ascertain, is this, or assess, like, do I see myself here? Is this an environment where I think I could be? And it's safe because nobody knows. And so she was the only one who knew. And I accepted the invitation and she said, and I said, okay, Lord, I have no idea what this could mean. I will just purpose in my heart to answer questions.
Yep.